Folks, we are back! New week of shows, but still giving you the fresh energy, the fresh fire. You're rocking and rolling with the fun bunch. Our own John Ivory, the master producer and extraordinaire in the building. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Touchdown. Alabama Magazine, in my own words, coming to you from the magic city of Birmingham. Streaming to you the show on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, give that thumbs up, drop a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that little bell so that way you can get all of your news, notes, alerts, entertainment, coverage on your program. That being the Alabama Crimson Tide. We also got you covered on Facebook and Twitter as well, streaming to you the show. We got a big show today. Big show tonight. We're going to have two outstanding guests. We'll be joined first off by my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, the Crimson Tide, getting another huge verbal commitment for the 2022 class in the form of a four-star defensive back, Traquan Fagans, young man that plays for Thompson High School in the Alabaster area here within the Pelham, Hoover, Birmingham region. You also have Alabaster as well. So it'll be fun talking with Justin on one Fagans, along with other things. Also, we're going to have Marvin Constant, former Alabama linebacker, on the show. The captain of that 1999 Bama defense that finished second in the country. He has his own thoughts on Pete Golding of this Alabama defense, and he also has got some thoughts on Bill O'Brien, among other things. So it's going to be cool to get up with Constant here later on in the show. But we want to hear from you guys tonight. Ring those phone lines, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. That daily super chat goal, $75 daily super chat goal. Also fans, also family, we are closing in. We are 100 subscribers away from 20K, 20,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right now. Get your show, your network, your platform on YouTube to 20,000 subscribers, 100 of those away from that mark. But also, before we jump into topic number one of the conversation, our own John Ivory is back, and we just appreciate you guys, our family, showing him the love, showing him the appreciation during his time of grieving last week in the loss of his mom. I mean, you guys made John feel special on the live show. Well, not traditional live show, but on the live show I had via my phone on Friday. So many donations, so much love, so much support, and John really appreciated that. So he's back. He's producing the show today, but he definitely did not want to have this show start off with by not thanking you, the fans, you, the supporters, for all of the love that you have shown for him and on his behalf. So want to shout out you guys right there. But we jump into now topic number one of the conversation of this on this evening, that goes to the Alabama defense that bounced back last week against Mississippi State after a loss to Texas A&M and the 49-9 rout of the Bulldogs in Starkville had a lot of you thinking, has Alabama found an identity? Has Alabama found its identity on the defensive side of the ball? I will say this: it found a spark. Can it build on that? It's found a spark defensively, but can it build on that? Can it add to that? Can it grow to that in terms of continuing the dominance, in terms of continuing the consistent play, the successful play as we venture through this season? Because the performance that we saw against Mississippi State, for a lot of us, this was the defense we thought we would get at the start of the year. When you look on paper and you're seeing the veteran names returning on defense, you're seeing the marquee contributors, you're also seeing the talented freshmen coming in. You know, this was the defense everybody thought that, you know, we were going to get throughout the throughout the totality of the season. But huge game against Mississippi State, big win. Spark was provided, but can it continue to do so? And for Coach Saban, he spoke after the game. Finally, a complete game. Finally, a full game for 60 minutes. Finally, our Bama kept the composure. It sustained the intensity. It sustained the energy. It sustained the effort. It made plays. It gave Coach Saban what he's wanted the entire season so far. And that's a complete game on defense. What was interesting was last week you saw players speak with a lot of emotion. Will Anderson, emotional. DJ Dale spoke quite a bit. Guys were talking about how, we did not like getting punched in the mouth against Texas A&M. We've never lost before. We haven't lost in, almost 2 years. So it was a new feeling for this Crimson Tide team. But at the same time, it knew what the expectations were. It knew what the goal was in mind. We have not been playing complete football. We have not been playing to the Alabama moniker. We have not been playing to the Alabama standard. We have not lived up to the expectations. And Coach Saban challenged the team. Players challenged themselves. Saban mentioned that a player stood up in team meetings and challenged the team prior to the Bulldogs matchup. And now, I don't know if this player was Will Anderson. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Coach Saban didn't say. I don't know if it was Brian Robinson or if it was Fidarian Mathis, if it was any of the leadership guys. Heck, I don't care. The guy from My Name is Earl could have sat there and said something. For the first time, we were like, finally, somebody challenging this team. It needed to be said. It needed to be done. It needed to be handled. And it was handled, helping Coach Saban get that complete game that he wanted to have for this defense. Now, as we look at here the numbers that this group put up against Mississippi State, now mind you, this is an air raid offense under Mike Leach. They believe in moving the ball, throwing it all over the field, scoring points, stressing you out, spreading you out, frustrating your linebackers and defensive players in the secondary. But for the second consecutive year, second straight year, Alabama defense held Mississippi State out the end zone. No touchdowns for the Bulldogs in this matchup. Bama defense held Mississippi State to 9 points, held Mississippi State to under 300 yards of total offense, 299, negative 1 yard rushing is what the Bulldogs had. Alabama created 7 sacks, 4 of them from Will Anderson, but 7 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, forced 3 turnovers, including 2 interceptions from Jordan Battle. One of those returned for a touchdown. Alabama won 9 times on third down. It was able to get off the field. State converted just 7 of 16 third downs. Bama defense flying around the field, making plays, hitting guys, making tackles, wrapping up in space, doing what needed to be done to stifle, to frustrate, to take Will Rogers, Mike Leach, and the air raid offense out its element at Davis Wade Stadium. But I thought one of the most impressive things that I saw over the weekend, Coach Saban actually did some different things in terms of personnel, in terms of strategy. If you watch the game intently, you saw more Daniel Wright than DeMarco Helms in the secondary at free safety. In pregame warmups, Daniel Wright was the starting free safety in the base 3-4 defense and also the dime defense. Alabama had DeMarco Helms start in the nickel, but it didn't go to nickel until the fourth quarter, so Helms didn't play until late in the ball game. Daniel Wright played well, had 5 tackles, tackled in space, wrapped up, did not allow the yards after the catch, communicated well. So Daniel Wright had a good game, played well, and he's always had the talent. This is the brother of Major Wright, who played at Florida, also played in the NFL. So Daniel Wright's always had tools. It was for him, can I trust myself to do my job on the field consistently? And he did that against the Bulldogs over the weekend. Good job there from Daniel Wright. Another thing that you probably saw was Bama did a lot of twist stunt blitzes with Christian Harris and Brian Branch. And on one of those twist stunts, both of those two guys hit the same gap. They both hit home on Will Rogers, sharing a sack. And Saban talked about it. Bama used multiple schemes, multiple looks, multiple packages, multiple personnel stunts to really get this group on the attack mode, getting to the quarterback, pressuring the quarterback, taking the air raid offense out of its element, out of sync there. So you saw a lot of those twist stunts there from Christian Harris and Brian Branch. Another thing you probably saw was more LeBron Ray versus DJ Dale. And LeBron Ray went out there and gave great effort, made some plays. LeBron Ray is actually becoming more of a vocal leader on the team, and it's about time. LeBron Ray has always been kind of a quiet guy. Former 5-star, came in the 2017 class from James Clemens High School. Yes, he's been hampered and limited by injuries, but it's good to see one of the older guys, fifth-year senior on this team, step up, use his voice, and challenge the guys on this team. Maybe it was LeBron Ray that stepped up in the team meetings and gave that speech Coach Saban was talking about. Who knows? But we saw more so of him than DJ Dale. LeBron Ray gave great effort out there on the field. Folks, Will Anderson is an absolute menace. Will Anderson is unblockable. Will Anderson cannot be stopped. And for a lot of people, made fun of me comparing him to one Derek Thomas, but I will say this. The comparisons to Tim Williams, that's spot on. If you look at Tim Williams, 2 years as a starter, 2015 and 16, and you look at the 2 years of Will Anderson last year and this year, for tackle for loss numbers, for sacks numbers, identical right there on the line. And one of the things that Saban did with Anderson, he moved him all over the field, kind of like what Bama did with Derek Thomas back in the 80s. Anderson was lined up on the left side. He was lined up on the right side. He was a bull rusher. He had X-stunt moves. He had twist stunt moves. He came on delayed blitzes like Will Anderson. They moved him all around the field. 4 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, could not be stopped. He's got 7 sacks this season. He's got 15 tackles for loss. The brother's the real deal. Was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Got it for a third straight time, and got for the third time this season. And then when you look at Josh Jobe and Jordan Battle, the job that these two did, setting the tone with interceptions, setting the tone, creating turnovers. Jobe, not a pass interference flag this past week. Hey, trusted that technique. 7 tackles, got the pick to get the party started. And then Jordan Battle, 2 interceptions for him. That was really huge, including a pick 6 to get the game going. So the Bama defense got a spark. Huge spark. Can it add on that? Can it build on that? That's the big picture for it moving forward. But this is going to take us to our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started. Upon our return, we go to the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions, baby. Right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
This is Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver, and you're listening to In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith with Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And I got 2 words to say, baby. Roll Tide.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
And we are back into the action here from the break of number 1 4 and 4 Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, getting that work week. It's Alabama-Tennessee week, baby. That matchup this weekend on Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Time. Kickoff from Bryant-Denny Stadium, ESPN. We'll have the call. We got some super chats right now. So how about let's get this thing popping with Jimmy the Batman Clay. Boom, bam. Throw it in the hat. That $26 donation. Appreciate the love from Jimmy Clay. Been right behind him, my man Bill from New York with that $5 donation. Appreciate that from Bill. Then Jimmy Clay came back again. He must got a thing for the number 26 because he dropped in 26 more dollars. Then we got Gucci tied with that $10 donation. Everybody helping us out on the show. The daily super chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate the love from everybody. Well, it hasn't been met yet. Hasn't been met just yet, but appreciate the love from everybody donating in. The daily super chat goal is $75. Daily super chat goal right there, but appreciate the donators. But we go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. But I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. We grab this call right here to start the Monday. You're live on the show. How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Well, Blue Monday, oh, it's Blue Monday. That was Fats Domino a long time ago. This is old President Whalen calling in here. I hope everybody's doing great on this Monday afternoon. I'm not quite as wound up as I was last Monday, but I hope my main man Marvin, when he gets on here, gets wound up. I've been dealing with Cyrus here for the last few days, Mr. Jones, and hadn't got to get on 40 plus, but I'm going to get on Marvin's site there and get some shirts. Stephen, can you keep him calmed down? Do you need my help?
You know what, Wang? We might need you, man. We might need you.
Well, these cats are going to get a surprise here in a little bit. It's going to be funny. It's like the old Batman. When all the lights went out in the city, that cop said, sunset back. We're going to have a show tonight. But anyway, we want to remember everybody in the Blue Wrench Gang, everybody in the chat. I see everybody, all the donations, prayers, requests. We appreciate it. TDA loves every one of you. I do too. And cities, towns, countries, and states, we're not going to forget it. We don't want to forget anybody. We want to remember everybody. It says, we go through a lot of troubles on this planet and earth and death, and it's a sad situation, but God's with us, so we know what we need to do, and He gives you the power to do that. And we just we want to always send out our condolences, but He's the man in charge. Like I always say, people say prayers don't count. God's still on the throne. Yes, they do, too. They count a whole lot, so you better say them and make sure you do. John, we love you. We're going to get out of here. Everybody be safe. Let's meet back on Wednesday. Bye-bye, everyone. I love everybody. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate Waylon calling in, getting us started off here on this Monday. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Stephen, Bill from New York. I'm kind of wound up tonight,
Let's go, Bill. Let's go.
Well, the first thing I want to say before anything is I want to extend once again my well wishes to John and his loved ones. I'm really, really sorry, man. I've been through the same thing. Now as far as football goes, what I want to say is only one thing about the offense. I'll touch on that next time we talk. My man, number 11, Trayshawn, he looks good. He's doing things right. He's going to be some weapon for us as time goes on. Now, as far as the defense, it's what I really want to talk about. I'm a credit where it's due type of person in life. And with all the heat Golding took, he did the right thing. I was screaming about it on the live game cast, like I wanted outside pressure. And he sent Malachi, he sent Branch, and what that did, that freed up Harris, and that freed up even Toho. They both had sacks and constant pressure. We got good defensive ends. I like these guys, but we don't have like a Jonathan Allen. We don't have that to provide like the steady outside pressure. So we lose another game, we're in trouble. We've got to go for it. And when we did, look what happened. You saw that quarterback. Oh my God, he's holding his shoulder. You saw 23, I think his name was Johnson, right? He limped off the field. He came back, and what happened next? He limped his ass right back off the field because we're the Crimson Tide, and that's what we do to people. And I'm so freaking happy, and I think that's the way things are going to be from here on in. Love to hear your opinions on what I said. And, Stephen, God bless. Thanks again for taking my call.
Absolutely. Bill from New York calling in here. Trayshawn Holden's the real deal. Trayshawn Holden is one of the young guys. He gets it. He gets it on the field. He gets it off the field. He will see even more of his playing time increase. Defensively, I was pleased. Pressure came from all angles. Coach Saban did different stuff. Alabama was able to get turnovers. Like I said, this was the Bama defense that a lot of you thought we were going to see all season. Can it build off this performance is the question. It's a spark, but can it build off this? It's the big question. Got to shout out Jimmy Clay with 26 more dollars in that donation pot. Appreciate Jimmy Clay. Is that Mechanic? Is that Mechanic? Oh, yeah, it is. 26 from Mechanic. Now the daily Super Chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate that from all of you, the fans. But we get to a quick topic here as you guys continue to get your thoughts in, 205-448-1358. And the question is on Bama wide receivers battling frustration. And I'm referring to Agiye Hall and Javon Baker. Both of these two going through a lot of frustrations right now. Agiye Hall, he posted a cryptic tweet following the 49-9 victory for Alabama over Mississippi State. Now, he had soon deleted the tweet shortly after posting it, but it had so much of a roar to it that reporters directed a question to John Mechie, a thought to him after the game on the advice he would give to Hall. And we know Hall, 5-star from Florida, 6'3", 195 pounds, had a great A-Day game, a great spring game, 4 catches for 72 yards. But Nick Saban is concerned about the totality of a wide receiver, not just what you're doing on the field. What are you doing in practice? What are you doing in the classroom? What are you doing to take proper care of your body? If you're not being the full, complete athlete that you're supposed to be, Saban is not going to put you on the field. And Coach Saban even talked about it. It's the player's job to impress the coaches. It's the player's job to show the coaches consistently, hey, I'm one of the guys that needs to be on the field. And we're living in a situation where social media dictates a lot of the perceptions of these guys. So they go, well, I'm a 5-star, I'm a 5-star, I'm a 5-star. Put me on the field. I deserve to be on the field because I'm a 5-star. Well, the stars don't matter once you get to Alabama. If you know you about it, let the coaches know you about it consistently, and you're going to get your butt on the field. I go back to remember A.J. McCarron. He stormed into Coach Saban's office in 2010 and said, Coach Saban, I'm better than all these guys. Why you got me running third team? Coach Saban told AJ, you think you better? Show me you better. And AJ McCarron showed that. So for Agiye Hall, got to get that mentality in check. And for Javon Baker, his character is good. It's just he's got to start doing more in practice, doing more in drills, doing more in given effort. He did not travel with the team this past week against Mississippi State. But those are just the two Bama receivers dealing with frustrations. We're going to go to a break right here. Callers, call back in the next 10 minutes. Hold to the phone line or call back in the next 10 minutes because definitely want to hear from you. But when we get back from the break, we sit down with our two outstanding guests, Marvin Constant and our own Justin Smith. Don't touch that dial, folks. We're coming back.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian or Jameer.
We're back in, folks, from the break of number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama magazine. And without further ado, we go to the In My Own Words hotline. We pick up the first of two guests. This brother played for Alabama from 98 to 2000. We're talking about one of the best linebackers, middle linebackers to come through here. He was the captain of the 1999 defense that finished number 2 in the country. Marvin Constant is here. Brother, what's going on?
Nothing much. Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. We got Marvin Constant right here on the show. And Marvin, just the first thoughts here over the weekend. Bama defense bounce back performance, dominant game. Showed it could play a complete game, keeping Mississippi State off of the scoreboard. But even with the way that Coach Golden performed and having that bounce back game, is this a moment where you continue to work with Coach Pete, or is it a moment where you still, if you have the opportunity, you look elsewhere?
It's still you look elsewhere. I mean, you can't just look at one game. I mean, they played a decent game against Mississippi State. They still were able to move the ball consistently between the 20s. And honestly, Mississippi State is not the best of teams. You know, I don't know how they beat Texas A&M. You know, the way the quarterback was just throwing up the ball, you know, with a little bit of effort, we beat them. I mean, you got to look at his entire body of work. You look at last year's SEC championship game, how Florida come back on us. You got to look at the LSU game. You got to look at it's so many games. Look at the Auburn game. It's so many games that you can look at, and the body of work is just not there. I mean, because at the end of the day, you know, I posted something earlier on Facebook. These kids come to Alabama for a reason, and that's to take that step to the next level. Nobody's punishing their bodies week in and week out to not get drafted and fulfill their dreams. You know, a lot of my friends, you know, coach in NFL scouts and coach in the NFL. And we have honest conversations about this. If the draft for tomorrow, not one player off that defense will be drafted in the first round. Maybe the second, depending upon how things fall. But the earliest you probably will see one in the third round if the draft started tomorrow.
If you're just tuning into the show, we got Marvin Constant, former Alabama linebacker Marvin Constant, here on In My Own Words on a Monday. So, Marvin, as we look at now just the defensive front here against State, people have been talking all season, where's the pressure going to be? Who's bringing the pressure? Where's the sacks coming from? Can we see more than just Will Anderson out there giving all he's got? Well, over the weekend, did see some pressure. Coach Saban brought some different things, different twists and turns, personnel packages and things of that nature. What impressed you, or what were some things about the pressure and the different things Bama did that impressed you?
I like the fact that Will came out and he set the tempo early on. As you see, when you get pressure, it's a completely different ball game than when you don't. You don't get pressure. Quarterback has all day to throw the ball. I don't care if you got Deion Sanders back there. Nobody can cover all day. But because Will was doing what he was doing, getting that pressure coming off the ball, he had that quarterback in panic mode. So you see the 2 interceptions early on because, again, that's what pressure does. And we hadn't had pressure all season. Honestly, going into this game, we were almost last in the SEC in sacks. You know, if you run man-to-man, that's the last place you want to be. The two don't go together. So, but, you know, I was happy to see them get more pressure this game, mixing up the looks. And the guys didn't look as confused this game. So hopefully they simplified things so that the guys knew what they were doing and they were able to execute it more. Because oftentimes that's what it looks like. It looks like confusion, like they don't know what to do. And when you don't know what to do, you don't play fast because you don't know what to do.
Now, in terms of can Alabama build off this, Marvin, That's the big question, right? I mean, Coach Saban said, hey, complete game, sustained energy, sustained intensity, but was this just a spark, or is this something that Alabama can truly and will truly build off of moving forward when you discuss Tennessee this week, Arkansas this season, Auburn coming up, LSU? Is this something that Alabama can build off of defensively as it tries to put an identity in place?
I think it's definitely something that they can build off of. Now, the biggest key is, are they actually going to do it? I mean, because, again, it's a lot easier said than done because, again, that Mississippi State team, honestly, was terrible. That was a terrible team. So we should have dominated them. That's one of the games you should win. Now, when you're playing a team that's going to give you a more complex offense with a lot more athletes, will we be able to sustain that same level of play? That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm really hoping for. But, I mean, again, you got to look at the entire body of work. And it's just been inconsistent, these past, 2.5 years. And that's just not like Alabama. I was telling somebody earlier, that's not Alabama. You've never seen South Carolina and Kentucky and all these small schools ahead of Alabama in defensive statistics. That you don't see that. So I'm praying that it's the spark that we need to get things back on track because, honestly, that defense has, for the level of athlete and talent that's on that defense, it has underproduced time and time again.
Before we get into, you talking about 40-plus strong and plugging your stuff in here, Marvin, you actually have some shirts going on with the Pete Golding shirts and the Bill O'Brien shirts and all the shirts that you have in the arsenal. What went into that whole idea with these shirts, Marvin?
More than anything else, it was just pure frustration. I was just frustrated. The first time I wore one, it was just a white T-shirt with a Sharpie on it just to be funny. But I was frustrated. And as, things just kept getting worse, it was like, you know what? And a few of the former players said, hey, you should make those for real. So it happened out of that. But it was more out of frustration because I know these kids want to go to the next level. Nobody plays football for fun at this level. Yeah, it's fun to play, but nobody's damaging their body for the rest of their life because I know what it feels like when you wake up every day in your 30s and 40s. I haven't got to my 50s yet, but I know what 30s and 40s feel, and it doesn't feel good. Nobody damages their body like that for fun. It's for a purpose. I just want to see these kids be successful and get the coaching that they need so that they can be successful. Because, again, all of my friends that are NFL scouts and coaches that I talk to, they all say the same thing. When you turn on the film of these guys, it does not look good. So these guys should be first-round draft picks, not third-round to free agent. You look at last year. We had Surtain win in the first round, Bama win in the second round. Every other defensive player, free agent. That's not Alabama. Again, if the draft were tomorrow, you'd be hard-pressed to have one go in the first 2 rounds. One definitely wouldn't go in the first. So I just want the standard to be back in place. And honestly, I feel like an upgrade is what is needed to get that standard in place. A lot of people don't understand what it takes for a defensive coordinator to be successful at this level. They want a guy with high energy, a guy that's going to build relationships with you, a guy that's going to know you. He's going to know what makes you tick, what gets you to where you need to be. And you just don't see that. You look at the Kirby Smarts on the sideline, the Jeremy Pruitts, the Will Muschamp's, all these guys, the Charlie Strongs. Those guys are full of energy. They are fired up. They know how to motivate their guys. When you see Pete, he just looks lost out there. I mean, it's not trying to be funny, but oftentimes he looks lost. So I just feel like we need somebody who's more in tune with our players, more in tune with the game, who can step in, give the guys what they need mentally, physically, and emotionally.
He's Marvin Constant, ladies and gentlemen, former Alabama linebacker Marvin Constant joined us here on the show. Be sure to check out 40plusstrong.com, 40plusstrong.com. Marvin's got the workouts for you for people over 40 and up, and then also he's got those shirts there. Got to check those out. Marvin, as always, man, do your thing. Be blessed, man. Stay up, brother.
All right, you too.
Absolutely, Marvin Constant. They're joining us right there on the show. But we go from a former Alabama player to the legend, myth, boots on the ground, everything in recruiting. My man, my brother from another right here, Justin Smith, lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. Justin, what's going on, man?
Yeah, once again, excited as always to be on with you, Steven.
Fun to have Justin on with us right now. So Justin, Bama picking up a huge commitment here in the 2022 class. Verbal commitment by the way of four-star defensive back Traquan Fagans out of Thompson High School in Alabaster here in the Pelham, Birmingham, Hoover, this region right here. How big was this picking up Fagans, and just what does his commitment bring to this program?
Alabama has another in-state player, which is huge, I think, especially when you consider the amount of talent that is inside the state. In the 2022 recruiting class, you're getting another long, athletic defensive back, which is where most Power 5 schools are continuing to go after at the moment. Fegans is a really athletic defensive back, a guy who has a background of being just an overall athlete. Last year at Oxford High School, he played all over the field for Oxford, transferred to Thompson High School during the off season. Now he has had opportunity to be an exclusive defensive back in a loaded Thompson defense. I've said in the past that I felt this may be the best defense, high school defense I've ever seen in my life. Not too many defenses at high school level have two 5-star defensive linemen, one another 5-star in the secondary, and another high 4-star Traquan Fegans in the secondary as well. So he's a very long, athletic defensive back who the Crimson Tide were able to get a commitment from after he decommitted from Miami earlier. Recently reopened his recruitment, had opportunity to visit Alabama during the Ole Miss game, got on the campus with his current teammate and fellow Alabama commit Jeremiah Alexander, and I'm pretty sure Alexander has been pushing to get Fegans to Tuscaloosa in recent weeks with them being teammates during their senior year. So this is a significant pickup for the Crimson Tide, adding him to their defensive back group along with Antonio Kite and Jake Pope.
So, Justin, we know Coach Saban loves to cross-train defensive backs, but when you look at Fegans, where does he transition? Is he more of a corner? Is he more of a safety? Is he more of just an all-around guy? Where do you see Fegans transitioning in the secondary?
I think his natural position is cornerback. He's really athletic. I think he has an opportunity to basically pull from his wide receiver experience, his offensive player experience, and just that athleticism that he possesses. He looks really comfortable in one-on-one situations. He's a very technical defensive back. He has been playing the game for quite some time now, so he knows the ins and outs of being a cornerback especially. So I think his natural position will be cornerback at the next level.
If you're just tuning into the show here on a Monday, we got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, talking four-star Traquan Fegans, among other things here on the show. So, Justin, you and I spoke before coming on. LSU, the big news coming out of LSU, Ed Orgeron will not be the head coach for the Tigers after this season. So next year, the Tigers will be looking for somebody else to be at the helm. What does this mean for Alabama in terms of recruiting, knowing that LSU is going to have to find a different head coach?
Oh, this is huge for Alabama. Anytime anything happens to LSU's coaching staff, it usually benefits Alabama on the recruiting trail, because I don't think there is any team in the country that battles Alabama as much as LSU does on the recruiting trail. At the moment, the Crimson Tide are currently recruiting a former LSU commit at the moment, Aaron Anderson, a 4-star wide receiver out of New Orleans, and it looks as if the Crimson Tide are now to land the speedy 4-star wide receiver after he decommitted from the Tigers earlier today. There are still a couple of other guys to pay attention to with LSU making those coaching changes. You have another 4-star wide receiver in Shaq Preston, who has the Crimson Tide and Alabama in his top 4. You have Quincy Wiggins, a 4-star defensive lineman. You just have a long list of guys from the state of Louisiana who will be impacted by LSU's upcoming coaching changes, including a fellow Alabama commit and 4-star running back Le'Veon Moss, who LSU is recruiting hard as well. The Crimson Tide could reel him back in with them wanting to add 2 running backs in this 2022 recruiting class. But there's so much to look at in terms of LSU and Alabama on the recruiting trail and the impact that Ed Orgeron leaving the program will have on those battles.
Folks, he is Justin Smith, the man, the myth, the bona fide legend, the boots on the ground when you talk about recruiting news, recruiting information, nuggets on your Crimson Tide. Justin, as always, man, stay safe, man. Take care of yourself, brother. Be good.
You do. Thanks, dude.
Justin Smith giving us the information on four-star defensive back Traquan Fegans, along with what does the departure of Ed Ogeron from LSU means for Alabama in recruiting moving forward. We go to a break right here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we jump back to the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your interactions, your questions right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Marvin Constant, All-SEC linebacker and 1999 SEC champion. You are listening to In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back in here, folks, from the break on number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
It's Robert from Mobile.
Rob, what's happening with your brother?
Well, feeling pretty good. The team looked really good on Saturday night. They did everything they had to do, especially on defense. And it looked better Saturday night. And I really like the attitude of the team afterwards. I like to listen to some of the interview. They seem more relaxed and more dialed in than they had been in the past, in the past few games. So that was a good thing to see. Even Nick Saban was a little more lighter hearted and upbeat, especially when he was before they asked him about the change the play on the goal line. Calling time to change the play. That was pretty funny. So I think they're lighthearted and they're upbeat. And I think they may have some things figured out on defense that can at least last us for the rest of the season. And Saturday, I finally saw a team that I thought could actually beat Georgia. It's been a while since I saw a team that I thought could beat Georgia, and that's the first time I saw a team that this team can beat Georgia. Because I think Alabama at its best is the only team in the country that can beat Georgia, and likewise with Alabama, when both teams are playing their best. They can only beat each other. Now, other teams can beat them if they're not playing their best, but they can only beat each other if they're both playing their best. So I saw a team that I think can actually do it for the first time this season. And like Nick Saban said, we finally saw 4 quarters of a team that's playing for 4 quarters that from beginning to end, and that was good too. It was also good to see Mr. Anderson, trying to do my best Matrix voice. He's just on another level right now as far as playing. Your previous caller, your previous guest, said he didn't see anybody on Alabama team that could go first round. I guess I'm assuming he means of the eligible players that can go in the NFL draft next year. But Will Anderson, Mr. Anderson, he could definitely go first round in the NFL draft, and if he keeps this up when he is eligible. So Absolutely. That was good to see, and to see the players. And to see the players that the other receivers get in on as well, that was a good thing to see too. And Bryce Young, finally running a little more. I mean, if we can get that element into his game and it be more consistent, and maybe saving it for when he actually needs it. I think that can put Alabama over the top as far as being able to beat Georgia. And I think they're going to do well for the rest of the season because, like your previous caller said, I think they turn the corner and they'll start playing better for the rest of the season and really start imposing their will on other teams, and beating them like they should for the rest of the season. And of course, they'll come down to the SEC championship game as to whether or not we get in. But it was a good start. I do agree with your guess about Pete Golding. I've said that before. He does seem to be able to get our team to the elite level. Maybe, hopefully, one day sometime this season it'll get there. But it was a good performance on Saturday.
It was. Appreciate those thoughts there, Robert from Mobile, checking in here on the show. We grab this next call here. You're live on the show on a Monday. What's going on? State your name and where you calling from.
What's up, man? It's Uncle Charles, man.
Uncle Charles is in here. What's going on?
Man, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm better with you in here, but I'm good.
Man, let me just say this. I want to say hello to all my Alabama brothers and sisters. I love y'all. You know I do. But Uncle Charles got to be Uncle Charles. When I went outside last night, I looked up in the air, and I seen the moon and the stars and how beautiful it was. I said, man, look what God have created. God is good and good all the time. But he leave all this other stuff for us to worry about. Let me tell you something, man. That loss to Texas A&M had nothing to do with Texas A&M. It had to do with us. You go walking around, pounding it, pound, and you start believing that hype, and then you go in there and you get your behind handed to you. Let me tell you something, man. I don't like the great state of Georgia, but I got to admit, they're a good team, fighting on both sides of the ball. But they need to remember something. My grandma used to tell me, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. I know they don't like Uncle Charles over in Georgia, and I don't care. Why? Because you over there and I'm over here. We are the champs until otherwise. Let me just say this in closing. I talked to my cousin. We had that incident up there at the Gypsy Carnival, a couple of years ago. He gave me a call. I said, hey, man, how you doing? He said, I'm doing fine. He said, man, I want to go back to the Gypsy Carnival. I said, look, man, I'm not going back there. Ever since you got beat up by that midget, I just ain't been feeling right about that, man. He said, man, I want a rematch. A rematch? Man, that midget swung your kneecaps up, and then the other midget took your clothes, and then you had to ride back in my car, Boston butt naked. Now, if anybody needs help and counseling and needs Jesus right now, it's me. And I ain't never got over that. But I thought I got to say, man, I love you, bro.
Appreciate Uncle Charles calling in, boy. Giving us some comedy here, some much and laughter on a Monday. We pick up this next call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Yes, it's Kyle from Foley. I know y'all remember me from a few weeks back. That call that I gave y'all has been very disheartening for me. I was out there in College Station for the game, and that dog after the game, it got to me. It attacked me. It killed me. I know I threatened to choke the living life out of that dog, but, it was just a heartbreaking game. Knowing we got the talent and we got these bum coaches. I don't care how quick we turn this around. I don't care how quick we get better. Pete Golding has got to go. There's no question about it. We have 5 stars after 5 stars on this defense. We have the talent where these defensive players can be first rounders. As your previous caller said, we didn't have any. Your guest said we didn't have any. So it's not a lack of talent. It's these coaches who don't know what the hell they're doing. Pete Golding should be off coaching at probably some school like Texas Corpus Christi, or probably working as a janitor position down in Andalusia. He don't need to be the defensive coordinator at Alabama. That should be a position for a high, very intelligent, very a coach with a lot of passion and energy. Instead, they go find Pete Golding out of some ditch in backwoods Louisiana and just put him on the staff. Now we got some more games to finish the season, but I'm telling you right now, long as he's back there and there's no blitzes, there's no disguises, there's nothing for Pete Golden. You know, Mr. Smith, he's got to go. We've got too much talent. We got too much to lose with this season. Hell, if I was Coach Saban right now, I would damn call Kay Ivey to come out there and be the damn defensive coordinator before I had Pete Golden. So y'all take care and roll tide, but I'm telling you, Pete Golden is a disaster.
Kyle from Foley getting us here on a Monday. Kyle from Foley. Kay Ivey over Pete Golden. Well, that's a new one. Kay Ivey over Pete Golden. We're going to continue with the calls right here. You're live on the show on a Monday. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on? Charles from Demopolis.
Charles from D-Mop. What's happening, man?
Nothing.
What you got for me, Charles?
Is John there?
Yeah, John here. John's here.
I could talk to him.
Well, you won't be able to hear him because he doesn't have a microphone, but he's here.
Oh, okay. I was just asking.
Hey, appreciate Charles from the Mob calling. Appreciate Charles calling in, wanting to know about John. See, John, you getting love? You getting love, John. Ivory. Charles called to ask about you. How about that? We take this call here. You're live on the show on a Monday. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Stephen M. Tide Man, checking in from Jackson, Mississippi. How you doing today?
Tide Man, doing fantastic. And yourself?
I'm doing well. Much better performance this Saturday. Really pleased to see us turn things around in every facet of the game. I don't think Mississippi State is a formidable opponent, but like Nick Saban always preaches, and as we know as Bama fans, it's not about the opponent, it's about us. It's about how we play, how we execute, how we perform. And we went out there, and even Nick Saban couldn't find anything to really criticize after that game. And the key to me is with this team, it's going to be consistency. Can we now, from these back-to-back games we've had, devastating loss to dominant win, can we learn from that and now be consistent week in and week out from here on out? Then that's going to be up to the character of these young men that go out and take that field. And you brought up something earlier that I definitely wanted to get you to maybe talk a little bit more about, the issue with Agiye Hall and Javon Baker. This is the first time I can remember in the Nick Saban era where a player has publicly, we've had a player publicly say something as drastic as I'm through with this, I'm quitting or whatever. I get the heat of the moment. He's frustrated. I feel for the young man. But, when you're part of a team that has just dominated your opponent 49-9, it ain't about you right now. It's about this team. And if you're so much about you that you got to tweet, I'm quitting and stuff like that, I mean, is this something that this young man's going to be able to get it corrected real quickly? Or is this young man and his attitude a cancer that could spread throughout the locker room and maybe somebody needs to say, time for you to hit the transfer portal? I don't know. I believe in second chances, so I don't want to throw the young man under the bus. He's a great talent. Hope he gets it together. But I want to get you to talk a little bit more about that. And the last thing, really enjoyed the interview with Marvin Constant. I guess like one other caller said, did we not think that Will Anderson is going to be a first round draft choice? Maybe that's not what he was saying. Maybe you can clarify that for me as well. But let's be consistent from here on out. The previous caller, Pete Golding, look, last year we were saying the same thing about Pete Golding early in the year. He got it turned around. He might be getting it turned around this year. So let's give him a chance, give this team a chance, and let's be consistent from here on out. Roll Tide, brother. Have a great evening.
Absolutely. Appreciate Todd, man, there for that call. So to start off with the Agiye Hall, it's one of those things where when you get caught up in social media and sort of believe in your own hype that if I'm a 5-star, that I can just go on the field and play, I don't have to do much in practice. I don't have to do much in the classroom. I don't have to do much as far as taking care of my body. I'm a 5-star. I can go play. Saban is not going to put you on the field if you're not ready. That's the moniker of Saban. But at the same time, if I'm a Ja Hall, you look at John Mechie. John Mechie didn't play his freshman year, stayed the course. You look at Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson could have left, stayed the course. Look at the year that he's having. Sometimes patience is a difficult teacher. I get it. You want what you want, when you want it, and how you want it. But when you are able to be patient and work things out and show the coaching staff that, you are all in on what Alabama supports and provides and is about, you will find your way on the field. So hopefully, a Ja can get everything locked in mentally, locked in emotionally. I hope he doesn't transfer because he is a big talent. But if you're not going to be locked in with the team mentally and emotionally as well as physically, then sometimes you got to end up doing what you're going to end up doing anyway. So I do wish the best, though, for Ja Hall. Hope he stays and gets everything in order. But we go to the phone line so to continue with calls. We grab this call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, am I live? This is Robert Hudzilla from Chicago. Can you hear me, Steven?
I can hear you. You're live.
Hey, Steve, a couple points. Number one, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Daniel Wright started at safety versus DeMarco Hellams. The last time I called, I was really on him. Wright didn't make any major errors. Seemed like he was on point. I don't think he has the physicality of Hellams, but at least the mental errors weren't there. So I was pleased with that move. And I think that's been underreported that Saban made that move, or Golding or whoever. Number two, not that we want to skip ahead to Georgia, but I took a look at the Georgia team for the first time this year. And one thing is very clear to me. For them to beat Georgia, two people are going to be critical offensively. Billingsley has to step up, and they need a big physical third receiver, Trayshawn Holden. Those two will make the difference against Georgia's defense. Their front seven is stout, but their back four has not been tested, and I think is particularly weak at the safety position and from a coverage standpoint of linebacker. And number three, Nick Saban's chasing titles. Ed Ogeron from LSU is chasing women. And so I think they really need to focus on physical defensive backs and safeties from LSU. The Ed Reeds, the Morris Claibornes, the Honey Badger type people. LSU really is strong, and Louisiana is really strong with physical defensive backs and physical linebackers. The biggest delta problem that Georgia and Alabama has, and you see it in spades, is the physicality and speed of their linebackers. That's really the strength of that team, and I think as long as we can marginally close that gap, I think we have a good chance. So kind of a lot there. I'd be curious to see your comments on each one of those points, Stephen.
Absolutely. So the point there on Daniel Wright did start for Alabama against Mississippi State. He started in the base 3-4 defense. He started in the dime package. DeMarco Hellams starts in nickel, but Alabama did not go to nickel until the fourth quarter. So you saw more of Wright on the field, and he played well. He's always had the tools. It's just, can I trust myself to do my job? Daniel Wright starting to kind of do that, so that was really pleasing there. I agree with your point on Trayshawn Holden and Jaleel Billingsley as we continue for the season. Both of those two have got to grow in their roles, make plays, make catches. We saw some good things from Trayshawn Holden against Mississippi State. And then absolutely, in terms of recruiting, got to be able to go and capitalize on the situation where LSU is concerned with Ed Ogeron not being the coach next season. You got to go down there by them referring to Alabama and see how many of these defensive backs can you get from that area. But we continue with calls here. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on a Monday? How you feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Ali from Detroit. What's up, Steven? How you doing?
Doing great. And yourself, man?
I'm doing good. I got some points that I saw last game. I mean, I watched Georgia, and the difference I feel with their defense and our defense is that they can get base pressure from their front four, and we can't. Without Will Anderson, and Texas A&M really exploited him by chipping him, we seem like the other three, they just can't get some pressure. If it's not Will, it's nobody else. And another thing, Armour Davis on the outside, Coach Saban's talked very well about Kool-Aid, and I don't know why he hasn't been out there showing him, because Armour Davis needs a lot of help. He's not doing well on the outside.
So going back to the first point there on the defensive line, I agree with you. You got to get more pressure than just Anderson. I think Alabama needs to look at starting Byron Young, 47, a bit more, because when he's on the field, he gets that pressure. He sacks the quarterback. He gets those tackles for loss. So maybe a time to possibly look at Byron Young. And then your second point there with Kool-Aid, I don't know why either. I mean, Kool-Aid's talented. He's gifted. Saban was saying his name all spring long. I don't know what the issue seems to be there. Hopefully the young man is doing what he's supposed to do in practice, in the classroom, in the weight room, whatever he's supposed to be doing to make sure he can get that playing time should that happen for Kool-Aid. But he is a highly talented athlete. Appreciate that call there. We continue with calls. We grab this one here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
You got Nick calling from H-Town, Texas, man.
We got Texas, man. We got a man from Texas in here. How we feeling?
Man, we feeling good, man. I got a lot of concerns, man, because what I'm seeing is fundamental things, man. If we played flag football, this defense would be top in the country, man. We get to the ball, we miss tackles, and Henry Toto, man, I love him, but he's not bringing that Reuben Foster, that Mac Wilson filling the gap. He gets there, he's tiptoeing to the hole, man. I'm not understanding, and Christian Harris, same thing. And I know there's a lot of blame going towards Pete Golden with the defense, but he's his hands seem tied, brother. Like, even the blitzes that he's calling, they're not getting anywhere. You know, we don't have the same physicality that we used to have, and I hate it because the team has enough talent to win it all. I watched that Georgia game. They're not impressive on offense. They don't have anything but a run game. And honestly, I feel like we could score on them from the offensive side. But that defense, man, we got to figure it out. And I think the last comments that were made about Kool-Aid not playing, the only thing that I could think of is that last, 2017 national championship game when we ended that second half with a bunch of freshmen in the game that ended up making big plays. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe we're going to get to the SEC championship game and you're going to see Ajayi Hall, who I don't understand why he's whining and being an individual. You don't come to Alabama to be an individual. If you want to be an individual, go to Miami. That's what individuals do. You go to Miami, you put on a gold chain, you get beat by 40, and then you're high-fiving and doing that. But at Alabama, it's team ball, team first. You don't win 49-9 and complain about not getting playing time. So I just feel like we got a lot of fundamental things that need to be fixed. Pete Golden, I don't really endorse him that much, but there's fundamental things on the defensive side that need to be fixed, and I believe that we can do it. I believe Nick Saban can do it. He's the GOAT. But I'd like to get your take on that. What have you been seeing from the defensive side?
Appreciate that thought there from Nick. They're calling in from Texas. I mean, there are truly concerns. I mean, To'o has had struggles all year. I would like to see more of Jalen Moody on the field at middle linebacker. I would like to see a little bit more of Deontay Lawson at weak side linebacker, maybe a Kendrick Blackshire. You can get him out there on the field. Just two guys that can really fill those gaps, be those thumpers, bring the wood, bring the boomstick, and make those types of tackles, wrapping up making those types of tackles. Now, it was a good performance against Mississippi State, but my thing is, can Alabama build off that? Was this just a spark, or is this truly a beginning of this team creating an identity for itself in terms of building on this performance and getting hot at the right time when you discuss trying to get to the SEC championship and trying to get to the college football playoff? But we continue before we get back to the call lines here. We got two super chats. One coming from my man Jimmy Clay. Another $26 donation coming from Jimmy the Bad Man Clay. And then Maconic walks in here with that $25 donation. So we appreciate Jimmy Clay. We appreciate Maconic and all of you donating in, writing in, calling in, texting in, chatting in, making this your show on a Monday as we are in Alabama. Tennessee week. Game coming up here Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Time, kickoff from Bryant-Denny Stadium, ESPN having the call there. But we transition here to this topic, and there were a lot of good NFL games on Sunday. There were a lot of good games. Najee Harris played well for the Steelers. You had, Henry Ruggs and Kenyon Drake both did some good things there for the Raiders in that victory right there. But I thought the game of the day that had me on the edge of my seat, Cowboys, Patriots, oh my gosh. I mean, Mac Jones is playing, y'all. Mac Jones is looking like the best quarterback in this draft. And yes, he had a pick six in the game. He tried to throw the ball to Kendrick Bourne. The ball bounced out of Bourne's arms into Trayvon Diggs, who took it back for a touchdown. But how about Mac 10 going right back at Trayvon with a double move, 75-yard touchdown to Kendrick Bourne. Patriots had a 29-26 lead. Its defense this defense led up by the field goal there made by the Cowboys, and then in overtime, I'm like, Belichick, let Mac cook, Belichick. Why are you running? Put the ball in Mac's hands and let Mac Jones win this football game. You did it with Tom Brady when Tom was in his first, second year. Let Mac Jones cook, and he didn't do it. And there are sometimes I wonder, what is Bill Belichick doing? For him to be the greatest NFL coach of this generation, what is Bill Belichick doing? Because the Patriots could very easily be 5-1, if not 4-2. I mean, lost against the Dolphins. Patriots were right there in that game. Lost against the Buccaneers. Patriots were right there, but instead of letting Mac cook, you put the field goal kicker out there. Patriots were right in this game. Let Mac go out there and do his thing, Belichick. Golly. But shout out there to Trayvon Diggs, though. I mean, he is on a tear. He's had an interception in each of the last 6 games. He's got 7 picks on the year, which leads the NFL. If Trayvon Diggs is not Defensive Player of the Year, we got a problem, and I'm coming for you. If Trayvon Diggs ain't Defensive Player of the Year, we got a problem, because that man's on a tear. But we're going to go to a break right here, folks. Don't touch that down, because when we get back, we tidy up loose ends by talking about the Alabama offense. Starting to get some things in order, but still some things to clean up. We touch on the offense after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we are back in from the break of a number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody for writing in, calling in, texting in, chatting in, donating in, making this your show here on a Monday. And we got Jimmy Clay again with that $10 donation this time, helping us out here in the Super Chats. Every last one of you guys doing a phenomenal job. And before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship from the 2020 campaign. We want you to check out our championship collection merch. This means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk, hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. TDAwear.com. Go over Championship Collections merch tab and get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But now, we get into the Alabama offense here. And offensively, some good things happen. A lot of good things happen. Some explosive things happen against Mississippi State. But there's also some things that still need to be cleaned up, still need to be improved upon and worked on. And one of those things, for Bill O'Brien, two things I want to see from Bill O'Brien going forward. Number one, a little bit more creativity in the play calling. And this is what made Steve Sarkisian so good, because Sarkisian was putting players in motion. He was moving players around. He was creating matchups. Like, Sarkisian really found ways to get his best players isolated and get them the ball. And for Bill O'Brien, got to improve on that creativity. Now, he spent much of his career in the NFL with the New England Patriots, mentored by Bill Belichick. So we know Belichick and creativity, they don't fall in the same sentence. And there's only a handful of creative offensive minds in the NFL. When you look at Sean McVay of the Rams, Sean Payton of the Saints, you got Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers, you got my man with the Arizona Cardinals there, Cliff Kingsbury. So only a handful, also Andy Reid of the Chiefs. So you only have a handful of really big-time offensive minds in the NFL. But for Bill O'Brien, want to see the creativity of the offensive play calling. And when you're in the red zone, trust the run game. Trust the run game. Understand that Brian Robinson and this offensive line can get you 1 to 2 yards and getting Alabama into the end zone. Going back to the game against the Bulldogs, there was a play where Bama was on the 1 foot line, one of the 2 yard line, and O'Brien had a pass play called, and Nick Saban was running down the field. Timeout! Timeout! Hey, ref! Woo! Timeout! Nick gets a timeout. Goes, whatever O'Brien called, we ain't running that. Put the jumbo package on the field. And the next thing you saw, the jumbo package led by freshman tight end Robbie Oots on the field. Run play, Brian Robinson, touchdown. For Bill O'Brien, developing more creativity, trusting that run game in the red area. Another thing, the offensive line. And I feel like moving forward, there are 2 changes that need to happen. Bama is 2 changes away from having a formidable group. I feel like you need to take Chris Owens off right tackle, put him back at center. Because at least at center, he was executing the snaps well. He could hold his own at that spot. And then Javion Cohen at left guard, he is going to be really good for Alabama, but he needs a veteran presence next to him. So taking Owens off right tackle, putting him at center, and then putting J.C. Latham at right tackle, which will give you a line of Evan Neal, Javion Cohen, Chris Owens, Emil Ekiyor, J.C. Latham, and Kendall Randolph at that C-gap tight end position, and you run with that. That becomes your offensive line. You run with that. Chris Owens, move him to center, put J.C. Latham there at right tackle. Those just be my thoughts there on the offensive line. When I look at Bryce Young, Bryce had a strong performance against Mississippi State. 4 touchdowns for him. But what I was happy with, number one, his anticipation on the blitz. Bulldogs ran a lot of cover 0, no safety in the middle. They brought the blitz. They brought the house. Bryce Young getting the ball out to his hot read, whether it was John Mechie for the 46-yard touchdown or to Brian Robinson for the long touchdown. Just that anticipation from Bryce, flipping that ball out to the hot read, understanding where the pressure was coming from, get it out quick. Big plays were made there. And then Bryce trusting his feet. He's starting to trust them legs. Had some runs in the game. Pulled the ball down. Got some yardage with the feet right there. Could have had a touchdown if he did not step out of bounds there. But we're starting to see Young trust the feet more. We know he's got the arm. We know he's got the accuracy. He's going to get better there with the deep ball accuracy, but 24 touchdowns, 3 interceptions so far. Very strong season from one Bryce Young. Now, as we look at the running backs here, I think they're starting to become some chemistry, some connection, some growth, some building happening in that running back room. Brian Robinson is showing pro scouts, I'm an all-around complete back. I can run the ball with power. I got speed and space. I got some wiggle in between the tackles. I can run guys over. I can run over guys. I can catch the ball at the backfield. You're seeing what he's doing in that area as a receiver. I'm a really good pass blocker. B-Rob is really increasing and enhancing his NFL draft stock. There was some good things from Roydell Williams over the weekend. 11 carries for 78 yards, and he ran a dude over. And I'm like, my goodness, Roydell, that man got a mom, probably a wife and children. Why you did him like that? I mean, Roydell just ran the guy completely over, but a good game from him. And then Trey Sanders. Coach Saban talked about it today, getting more comfortable, getting more confident in working with those carries. He had a couple of really nice carries against Mississippi State, and 2 of those where if he could have broke a tackle, would have scored on one of those 2. So some good things from Trey Sanders. Alabama's going to need him. Got to continue to feature him, get him comfortable, get him confident, continue to have him rolling because he is a natural back getting up and down the field, north and south, making those cuts there at that position. But as we look at here, the wide receiver room, how about John Mechie? A bounce-back game from John Mechie. I know he's not a 1, he's a 2, maybe even a 3 on a lot of elite teams, but John Mechie, a bounce-back game after just struggling against Texas A&M. He was targeted 14 times, only caught 7 passes, had a few egregious drops, but he came back against Mississippi State off 8 targets, caught 7 passes, 117 yards, half a touchdown. This is the John Mechie that we're used to seeing. This is the John Mechie that we saw a season ago, making those explosive plays. So it's good to see a bounce-back game from him. And then Trayshawn Holden. This is the guy that's starting to turn up. This is the guy that's starting to pop. And it's incredible how he and Bryce Young both played high school ball in California. And I remember there was a summer camp, a football camp, where a reporter from USC came to interview Bryce Young and talk to him. And Bryce at that point was committed to the Trojans. He was trying to get Holden to flip from Alabama to USC. That didn't work because Holden stayed at Alabama, but it's crazy how life works. Bryce Young ends up flipping from USC to Alabama after being committed to the Trojans for 14 months, a year and 2 months between 2018 and 2019. So both guys have been close since high school. Both guys roommates, both guys best friends, and this connection on the field is starting to pop off. Holden, 3 catches for 70 yards, including a 29-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter where he looked like Robert Foster a little bit. Y'all remember Robert Foster, 2017, Alabama against Colorado State? Foster took a little dump pass from Jalen Hurts and turned on the turbo boost and flipped backwards into the end zone. Little 52-yard play right there. So Trayshawn Holden got the shoulders square, turned around and put on the Robert Foster Jets, get into the house. He does things the right way. He practices the right way. He plays the right way. He operates the right way. So happy for Holden. So some good things where Alabama's offense is concerned, but still want to see O'Brien clean up the play calling a bit more, find some more creativity, but also trusting that run game in the red zone. And, of course, the offensive line moving forward. I would take Chris Owens, put him at center, put J.C. Latham at right tackle in your role from there. But, as always, Tide fans, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you taken care of iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Wednesday continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Have that sent to your door. The link will be found in the description. Also, if you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA, the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com, click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description. And also, if you're trying to get the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at weownthefourthquarter.com. That's weownthefourthquarter.com. That link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing to not be bored. You get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You have been listening. You've been listening to In My Own Words.